Welcome back to the Always Another Game podcast. We've had a little hiatus of 2 weeks for the school holidays, but I am double caffeined up. I have listened to my Eminem tunes because I need my extra energy today to go inside this athlete's mind. Because today with me all the way from Australia, I have Brooke Mcintosh. Brooke, how's it going?
So good. So glad to be here and having this chat, letting you inside my mind.
I can't wait to get inside. I was saying to Brooke before we came on, I took a pause over the summer of recording. But when this got booked in and this was going to be the first one back, I was like, wow, we are coming back in with a bang. Because if any of you do know Brooke and you follow her on socials, you will see the energy that she brings to her life, her running, everything like that. And if you don't follow her, I will give you the opportunity at the end for the details so you can. But yeah, I'm really excited about this one. Really early on, we are going to throw out a trigger warning. Brooke will potentially mention that as well. There will be some conversations on suicidal thoughts and mental health. This is a big part of what we are going to be covering today. So if anybody doesn't want to tune in, that's absolutely fine. We give you permission to leave now. If it is something you are here to learn more about, to open up the conversation, buckle up because this is going to be an interesting one. So the first thing I'd love everybody to know is, who is Brooke Mcintosh?
This is such an interesting question, and you can go I can go on so many different tangents on who Brooke Mcintosh is, but I think it all comes down to is Brooke Mcintosh is just a girl from a small town who just decided to change her life and go for it. And that has led to me now being an elite athlete, impacting, inspiring thousands, and a business coach, a life coach, mentor, and an ultimate runner. When I say runner, I don't mean runner lightly. You'll hear more, but Brooke Mcintosh is an extreme runner.
Yeah, and it is extreme. And we will go into more detail, but just to give everybody a small insight, Brooke took on a challenge. It was 1,600 kilometers. I will kind of break that down in a little bit, but that was a run that you did. It was a certain distance, wasn't it, across Australia?
Yeah, it was from top of Western Australia all the way down to bottom of Western Australia. So yeah, massive.
Yeah, and there's more to come because, as she said, she loves running, and there's more to come. And we will go into detail with that. And what I found interesting, what you said there, is you just changed your life. You just decided you were going to change your life and you went for it. But as we're going to find out today, there was multiple reasons behind that change. So I can't wait to dig into that. But one thing that came up early in our questions that I had never heard of, and I was like, what is that? You mentioned that you are part of is it FIFO or FIFO family?
FIFO family,
so,
yeah.
I didn't know what it is. I do now, thanks to you. If you tell everybody a little bit of what that is, just so everybody can understand.
FIFO means, there are so many terms in Australia for what FIFO means, but FIFO, the predominant term, means fly in or fly out worker. So our fly in or fly out worker literally flies out to their site for anywhere from 1 to 6 weeks at a time to their job. They live on the camp for time, and then they fly home to be with their families for 1 or 2 weeks. Sometimes people have even time rosters. A lot of the times, people don't actually have even time rosters. So yeah, I'm from a FIFO family, and then I entered the FIFO world myself. But when I was 12 years old, my parents divorced when I was 2 years old. So I grew up with a single mother. And then when I was 12 years old, my mum decided to enter the FIFO life, which, leaving 7 children at home, me being one of the oldest, had to step up into a leadership role and raise my younger siblings from 12 years old. I'm still a child then. But that was the only way for our family to survive. That was the only way for mum to be able to put food on our table, was if she made the sacrifice to go FIFO. And honestly, forever grateful that she did, because I wouldn't be the person I am without it.
Yeah, I do believe everything does happen for a reason. And, being a parent myself, you do have to make sacrifices. And it is really difficult. And there's some people like your mother there, I'm sure that decision wasn't taken lightly. And sometimes it is big. Sometimes it's just small sacrifices. Sometimes it has to be huge. And we never really know, from my experience, coming up 7 years now, you never really know if you have done it right or not, potentially until later down the line. So What was that like at 12, having to step up? Do you remember that at all?
I do, and I hated it. In the moments, I did what I had to do, as in, like, I come from a family of 9 kids, so I'm smack bang in the middle, so there was 4 younger kids that I had to raise, um, and I was 12 years old. Absolutely hated it. Like, I just got my foot in the door at high school, was just trying to make all friends, was just trying to make different sporting teams, but then to be thrown in the deep end, having to make the school lunches, make sure everyone's on to school on time, everyone's having a good night's sleep, dinner's cooked, all of that household chores as well. In the moment, I really didn't like it, and that's where I rebelled a lot. That's where my school grades started to go down, that's where I started to make wrong choices, that's where honestly, from an early age, I started drinking when I was 13. And it's not something that I'm proud of, but that was the reality. Like, the things that I could control in my life was what I put into my mouth and what I was doing outside of the home. And those choices that I was making weren't, they weren't authentic to who I wanted to be, but they were the choices that made me numb out the pain that I was feeling in those moments.
But
Mm.
we say 12 and it sounds shocking, but the scenario you were putting in, you had to grow up quickly, extremely quickly. Did you feel, because obviously, like you said, you went to drinking at 13, did you feel like an adult?
Yeah, yeah. The people who I was going to school with, they couldn't really resonate what I was going through because they always had mum and dad there to do everything for them, to make their lunches, to make sure they got to sporting clubs on time and things like that. Whereas all that pressure, that responsibility was put onto me. I started working when I was 12 and a half at a local deli, just to get by and to help the family out as well, which in the moment, I just did what I had to do. Looking back, I love that that's my life because now I've got so much resilience and stuff. But yeah, it was very hard in those moments.
Mm. So, you're drinking at 13 and you've got all these responsibilities. It's not just at home. It's, the school stuff and it's an age where social element is huge, right? High school is a
Mm,
huge social factor. Did you get any support? You said you had older siblings. Was there any support from them to you? Was there any teachers standing out to help you at this time?
no, no, not in those moments. It was just, and I was too afraid to ask for help because by me asking for help, it was going to put someone else out, and I didn't want to do that. I was just like, I'll be right, she'll be right. So in Australia, there's a terminology that goes like, she'll be right, and I hate it, but a lot of people still say it. It's like, she'll be right, and I'm just like, no, actually give the help. She deserves the help. That's what I now understand. But in those moments, I was like, oh, just be a strong, independent woman from a young age. Off you go, off you go, off you go. And that led to like massive self-destruction. The teachers actually didn't know what was going on at home. And I know that now because still in contact with a few of those teachers, and they were like, whoa. But I would wag school just to have my own time. I would wag school to go to the gym because I wouldn't be able to fit it in anywhere else. I would control my eating and not eat as much. And this is where I suffered heavily from eating disorders and anorexia, because I could control what was going in my mouth. And I knew that that was one thing that I could control in my life. And with an eating disorder, all you want is to be able to have control. And that's what I could really control. So that led me down, like that time led me down a path of eating disorders, anorexia, over exercising, um, putting everyone else before me, not ever feeling worthy enough to be able to ask for help when I needed it in my lowest
Mm,
of moments. Yeah.
yeah, it's really interesting because obviously the topic doesn't always come up, but that's a big part of what I do: food relationships and body
Mm,
relationships and things like that. But it's interesting to say how much your life was out of control. You went to control what you could, and I guess that's what addiction is, right? Is when everything feels like you can't do anything. Let's do what I can, and that often does turn to food, alcohol. It can go further into drugs, but I guess that is a control thing. So, what was that like, that phase for you there with the eating disorder, the anorexia? Was it quite obvious? Was it secret? What was that phase like for you?
it is the control thing, and it turns into a massive addiction. So no one knew to the extent that it was happening. My brother started picking up on it, and then my brother, in his loving way, not in the loving way that I needed, but in his loving way, he was like calling me all these names. You look like a stick. You just all of the names that I didn't want to be cold, but then he was like, stop being so stupid, just eat something, you're tearing this family apart. But that was driving it even more. And then it was to the point where I got my period when I was 13. I lost my period when I was 14 because I was too skinny and my body was not able to sustain a healthy period. I went to my doctor to ask like for some help and what was going on. And they just said to me, Brooke, if you don't change your eating, if you don't actually start nourishing your body, you could potentially be on your deathbed and die. You're how old was I then? I was about 15 and a half. And they said, you're 15 and a half and you're 38 kilos. Like, that is not healthy at all. So then from that, I went to a fitness competition and I started seeing girls with big muscles. And I was like, oh my God, I want to be like them. So then my control and my addiction turned to strength training. And then my strength training was like the next addiction. But then after the strength training, in combined with the strength training as my addiction, it was the partying. And my school friends would just start to see me as the life of the party because I always had the alcohol. I had drugs on me. Like, I knew how to throw a really good party and I was always the drunkest there. But behind closed doors, I was literally crumbling and dying inside, just wanting help for someone to see me in the pain, but not being able to speak about it or seek the help that I needed. Yeah, it was a dark time for me, and it was a lot of addiction, control, and cover up too.
That is interesting because we're going to get on to how you came out of that dark place. If we just rewind really shortly, I heard obviously you went to the doctor. So you did reach out for help at some point. What led you to go to the doctor at that point? Because you said you hadn't been talking to people. So did something trigger that off?
It was an appearance thing. Yeah. I was starting to feel okay in my body, but my body wasn't able to handle the training that I wanted to do. My face started breaking out. I was feeling so lethargic and tired. Like, I would get up in the morning, feel really tired. I would go to school, fall asleep in class. I wasn't even eating during the day. I would come home from school and fall asleep straight away on the couch. And the times that my mum was home, she'd be like, Brooke, what is wrong with you? You're literally just sleeping 24/7. And it was mainly about my energy levels. And that's what led me to reach out to the doctor and be like, is my iron low? Of course my iron's low because I'm not even eating anything.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Of
always
course,
the
it's
iron,
like
isn't it? Can't be anything else. It has to be iron.
Yeah, and that was like, yeah, when she said those words to me, I was like, oh, whoa, okay. And then that's where I started diverting the control into the gym for strength training, but also into on the other side of not eating anything, one extreme to full control of what I actually put in my mouth and counting my macros down to the literal milligram. That became another control aspect that started driving me and my friendships apart, me and my relationships in my family apart as well. And there was this one time, so it was like a quick, like 180 whole switch, like from not eating to eating, but measuring and laying every single thing out. That this one particular time I was training for a fitness competition and I had made it. And I remember just standing on the stage being like, oh my God, this is it. I'm going to feel so good. I'm going to love myself. I'm going to feel so worthy. And I got on stage and I look around and I'm like, I feel disgusting. Other girls look more better than me. Like, did I do all of this just to feel like shit when I'm standing on stage? Like, what? And then a week later, I went on holidays with my family, one of my older brothers, and he vows still to this day. He still brings it up as a joke, but he vowed that he would never go on holiday with me again because every restaurant that we went out to, if there was no chicken or broccoli on the menu, I wouldn't eat there. To a point that we walked around for an hour looking for one restaurant that had chicken and broccoli, and we couldn't find any. So we're out the front of this restaurant on the main strip in Brisbane, and I just start bawling my eyes out, and I'm like, I can't eat anything. And I'm 18. Like, what? He was like, that was just so embarrassing for him in that moment of time. And yeah, he always reminds me about it to the day. And it was just like, yeah, like I said, from one control aspect and addiction, completely flipped the switch to strength training and now controlling what I put in my mouth down to a T that led to like a massive breakdown out the front of a restaurant. I was like, this is out of control now.
But we're all addicted to something. We all have addictive tendencies. Some people, it is the root food, alcohol, drugs. Other people, it is the gym. Other people, it's social, which it took you to next. Like you said, you kind of were looking for the control, but it wasn't necessarily falling where it should be. And it kept falling in places that, you didn't necessarily want it to be. And now you became the life and soul of the party to be in control of your social element, but it didn't go that way as well. So where did that take you?
From the social aspect of the life of the party.
And, it's like you said, you always had the drugs and the drink and, you still felt like there was something missing.
That took me to running away from my problems, as I call it. And I moved towns completely. I moved towns to be in the town where my dad had been my whole life, which is Karratha. And then from that, I was still the life of the party up there. I was still Brooke, the fitness fanatic who loves the gym, trains really well, but also knows how to have fun and lots of drugs and alcohol on the weekend, Friday and Saturday. And then that took me into a relationship that was literally all about the party. And because I had no confidence in myself, because I didn't know my worth, I didn't know who I was just seeking someone to love me, and this guy could love me. And I stayed in that relationship for 5 years. I say 5 years too long because I knew at the start that I shouldn't have been in that relationship, but I knew I wanted to be in that relationship to fill the void that I was so desperately seeking from everyone else. And that's what it gave me. It gave me validation. It gave me acceptance. It gave me somebody to love me when I know now that I just needed to love myself. But in that time, I didn't know that. So yeah, it just led me into a relationship that just confirmed all my beliefs that I was holding on to. And in that relationship, I still had no voice. I couldn't leave the house without asking for acceptance to be able to leave the house. Like, do I look okay? Should I wear this? We went out to restaurants. I couldn't even order food for myself. He was fully controlling in that way. And then after that, I finally, like 5 years later, had the courage to leave that relationship. And that was the first time that I fully did something in my life for me. And that was completely true to me. I stuck by my moral compass and was like, you know what? I'm not putting up with this anymore. I've got to leave. And that's where I decided to leave that relationship and rebuild my whole life with just a suitcase after having everything. Not knowing where I was going to go or where it was going to take me, I was like, 3, 2, 1, you got to go. And that's exactly what I did. And then it's led me down to this whole next journey. Yeah.
So was that the final phase? Was that the time that you came out of that dark place when you were able to do that?
It was, but it wasn't. Again, I came out of that relationship and then I was like, all right, who is Brooke? Who does Brooke want to be? Oh, she wants to be the traveler. She wants to go travel around the world by herself. So I had the courage to leave Australia and go travel Southeast Asia for 10 months by myself. And it's quite interesting when you reflect back on it, because I truly believe that people always know who they want to be, but some people just never have the courage to be that person in the moment because of the whole outside factors, the whole outside influence. So I left Australia. I traveled Southeast Asia for 10 months. I was a party host. I was a hostel tour guide. I was the life of the party yet again, taking people on pub tours, taking people on waterfall tours, having shots at 9 a.m. in the morning. This was no joke, probably about 4 years ago as well. And then that finished off because I extended my visa to continuously do it. However, I was so drunk one night that I jumped on the back of a scooter with some girlfriends. There were 3 of us on the scooter and we fell off the scooter and I smashed open my knee. And that resulted into me getting airlifted back to Australia for recovery. And it was that time of when I was off my legs for a solid 6 months, having my knee in recovery position. Not many people know that story about me either, so it's quite funny that it's coming out now. But it was in that time that I was like, fitness is so true to me. Why aren't I following what I love doing so much? Why am I still getting caught up in this toxic, shitty behavior that isn't aligned to me. Like, yes, I like to have a party every now and then, but not every single weekend. Like, there must be more. Why do I keep turning to the drugs and alcohol? Like, what am I afraid to feel? What am I running from? And it was in that healing phase, that recovery phase, that I started being more conscious and bringing more awareness to my decisions and what I was doing, being more mindful. And I started having more mindfulness practices in my day. So I started doing breath work, I started talking more, and I started changing my communities who I was hanging around as well. And that was the biggest thing. Yeah.
This is the first time I've heard your story in detail. And what I've loved listening to is no matter how much of these challenges you had, I said it right at the beginning, you did mention there has been times of suicidal thoughts and mental health struggles. But every time you've able to go through it and come out of it yourself.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is fascinating to come from dark places and to be able to, hence why I asked, was there any support that, what was the reason you went to the doctors? Every time you took that next phase and like, right, this has happened. What is it? And you've assessed it. Even when you weren't Brooke Mcintosh, the ultra runner and, the motivational speaker, even when you were just, in a sense, just Brooke, you were able to do that. And that's incredible in itself, that's life, right? Not always to big extents, but there are failures, there are mistakes, there are big stuff that wake us up, but it's what we do next. And you were able to do that in all those phases.
Yeah, and that's a huge thing that I teach, and that's a huge thing that I educate a lot of people on, is like, it doesn't matter where you are, but where do you want to go? And all you've got to do is start instilling the habits to get there. Start making those aligned choices to get to that vision, and then the vision's inevitable. It's like, yeah, you could be the partier, the life of the party, the drunk, the alcohol, like that kind of Brooke, or you could be the elite athlete. So, what kind of decisions does the elite athlete make? Start making them every single day. And I'm not talking about like people go manifestations, people go, oh, act like your dream self. And some shallow people, they're like, oh, okay, I'll go out and buy Prada handbags. I'll go out and buy this new car. I'll go treat myself to this retreat, yada, yada, yada. No, I'm talking about the small implements that you can make into your life right now, like the habits. And before you make any next decision, before you make any next commitment, ask yourself, does this align to my visions? If it doesn't, it's a no. If it does, go for it. And like, what habits, rituals, and decisions can you make to fast track that? And that's exactly what I was doing. And debriefing is like a massive part of me now. It's like, okay, well, that didn't work, so there must be something else. And I think for me, I knew when I was like 5 years old that I wanted more. I wanted a big life and I wanted more out of life. And that was the question that I kept coming back to myself after every hardship, after every downfall. I was like, is this it? Like, am I seriously just living a life paycheck to paycheck for the weekends? Like, is this what life is? And I knew inside that that isn't what the life was for me, and that there was more. So that's what helped get me over that hurdle, and just to continuously go and seek the more, but the more empowering way, like the more empowering for Brooke Mcintosh, the more true to her. And all it was literally just holding on for just one more day. And that's my mantra, that's my phase for life, is just one more, like just one more day, step and breath, and you can overcome anything. And that's exactly what I did in those moments. And after the scooter accident, this is where I finally myself decided to go FIFO and walk the footsteps in my mum's path. So I decided to go FIFO. So I worked fly in, fly out, driving trucks, working in the trades. I was a trade assistant. The massive trains that people see, like carrying the coal, I used to actually get down and dirty and like service them, change out the brake pads and all of that. So I always had grit. I always had the resilience. I always had the determination to do big and like the hard things as well. Like anything hard, I'm always there. But when I worked FIFO, it can become super isolating. And this is where I found myself in that depression spiral again. But it wasn't just because of FIFO I was there. It was a lot of other outside contributing factors, like my childhood, my upbringing, what I've experienced. Like all of these little things were sending me down this path of that self-destruction. And I, anyone would think a scooter accident will be the big wake-up call, but it wasn't for me. It was a wake-up call to be like, okay, traveling's not your thing. Let's go to FIFO. Let's go become a truck driver. And then when I was there, I was still questioning. But the not funny thing, the cool thing, on my weeks off, I was talking at schools and I was educating school students about healthy choices. I was educating school students about having more confidence to be who they are. And then I would go back to work driving a truck, and I was sitting in the truck and I was like, there's got to be more to life. And I was in the depths of suicidal ideation this 1 week. It was so bad. And I just didn't see a way out because I had never really asked for help before. And I'd kept everything internally. And I didn't see a way out. And I come home and I was on my way to a school to deliver a talk. That week, I had been planning my exit out because I couldn't see a way out. The pain was too much for me to handle anymore. I was 26 years old and I was like, how much more can I actually take? I don't think I can take anymore. And I was planning my exit out of here. And I was driving along the highway and I missed the turn and I tried to correct myself and I forgot to look back right and I smashed into a concrete bollard. Smashing 100 k's an hour into a concrete bollard, spinning around, and then having a truck hit you at 100 k's an hour. And somehow I got out of my car, regained consciousness, no injuries at all after a double hit, double whammy, I call it. Regained consciousness, and I walked over to the other people involved, knowing it was my fault, but I walked over to them and asking if they were okay. And checked in with them first before I checked into myself. It was later that day, that night on the hospital bed that I was like, you've been putting everyone else before you in life. Like, how about you actually go seek the help that you need? Because that was my biggest wake up call to be like, holy shit, I need help. Like, I don't want my life to end. I just wanted the pain to end. How can I make the pain end? Who do I need to speak to? Who do I need to be around? Who do I need to seek support from? And it was finally after a freaking truck accident that I realized I didn't have to do it alone and that I could talk to someone. And that was like the catalyst for the ultimate change, which now we get to do.
It feels like somebody's watching over you this whole time. Like it's just gone one thing and it's just increased every time as well. It's like, what do we need to do to wake you up, Brooke? You know,
Yeah.
is this enough? But which is insane because that was the bit where the statement I got here is getting hit by a truck made me think. So where did you go then? You said you needed help, you needed to put yourself first. Where did you go first?
Where did I go first? I went to my community. Yeah. So for some reason, before the truck accident, I entered into this community called K2 Elite, and they're all business owners. They help inspire people. They help each other build their businesses and come together. There's like 400 of us. But I went to that community and I just told them what I was experiencing. I just was so vulnerable with them, and they were like, whoa, like, thank you for this. They held the space that I needed, and then they helped guide me in the right space. But if it wasn't for that community, and I say it to this day, if it wasn't for that community, I probably wouldn't be where I am right now, because they helped me see the light, but they also helped hold me accountable. So I opened up to them, but then people would come back in and check on me. Hey, have you done this? Hey, have you spoken to this? Hey, how are you going today? Instead of just initiating one conversation and leaving it all on me to go do, they checked in, and that's what I needed, because if it was just completely left on me, chances of me continuously going to a psychologist, continuously going to breath work, then it probably wouldn't have happened. Like, I would have just dropped off, and the old mentality, the old belief of don't be a burden would have just kicked back in. But the fact that they kept me accountable really, really did help. And when I was lying on that hospital bed, I was like, okay, who do I need to speak to first? And they were the first people. And then it was in that moment I asked myself, okay, this is like your third chance at life. Obviously, you're here for something more. Like, what impact do you want to leave before it is your time to go? And that's where it fully hit me. I was like, I want to create more conversations. I want to create an impact to ignite people to speak up about their mental health, because it's not weak to speak, but if we keep it stored up here, then it's no good to no one as well. That's where all of that come about.
Yeah. And that's led you to, kind of like the other reason why we're here today and the incredible achievement that you did. And I want to do it more justice now, because you ran 60 kilometers a day for 27 days. And that was all in spite of everything that you've done and what you wanted to achieve. But you also, if I do correct me if I'm wrong, but it was for charity as well. Can you tell us a little bit more about that experience and where that came about?
Yeah, so from that, probably about 4 weeks later, I returned to work driving trucks, and I just remember lying on my bed, inside my donga on site, and I just remember like, okay, I want to create this impact, but how can I create this impact? Like, how can I do it? And again, when I was on site, I would always have these conversations with the guys. I was checking in with them, making sure they're okay, making sure their family's okay. Like, how's their mental health? Have they been doing stuff to light them up? And I just remember lying awake at 2 o'clock in the morning that one morning, and I just couldn't go back to sleep. And I was like, that's it. You're doing it. You're doing it to raise awareness for mental health. You're doing it to raise awareness in our younger generation and our FIFO industry. You're going to be running from top of Western Australia, where a lot of FIFO people fly in to work. You're going to be running from here all the way back down to the bottom of Western Australia, where a lot of FIFO people reside, like where their families are. You're going to be running 60 Ks a day for 27 days, 1,600 Ks, and you're going to raise the awareness, but also you're going to start the conversations too, and the funds to match as well. And that's exactly what we did. So it was literally just one more. It was just one more step, breath, and day. And the support and the conversations that came out of it was honestly the coolest thing ever. The truck drivers, it's Western Australia. I'm not sure if you're much of aware of it, but it's super isolated. It is super remote. It's not like the east coast of Australia. It's like very far in between. But the truck drivers on that stretch as well were so supportive. So not only was I putting my body on the line, I was completely facing my fears head on because of that truck accident. I was so afraid of the truckies. But by week 2 on the run, the truckies finally become my friends. And they would always check in with me on the two-way. They would give me toots. They would give me words of encouragement. They would bring out food, water, supplies, drop it off for me and my support crew as well. And yeah, the conversations definitely fully got started. It was incredible.
It's like, you were so keen to have this earlier day of this socializing and wanting to be loved and, like be the party. But you kind of, in that moment of after being hit by the truck, you found your people within your community, within the trucking community. And yeah, it's just incredible how I do believe everything happens for a reason. Unfortunately, you went down a very difficult route to get there, but it's all worked out. Anybody that's listening can probably know this run wasn't something simple, wasn't something easy at all. How did you keep going through all of that?
Yeah. So on that morning that I decided to do the run and had this grand idea, I messaged 2 people, right? And this all ties into it, but I messaged 2 people. I messaged one person from the K2 community who was helping me along the way. And then I messaged my brother. My brother, he argued the fact that I could do it. He told me that I wouldn't be able to do it. I would give up. It's too hard. You don't have to do it. Yada, yada, yada. He come up with all these excuses for why I shouldn't do it. The K2 member, Nick, he was like, awesome. This is what you need, a running coach, strength coach. We need to get your food intake up. We need a caravan. We need support crew. Let's go. He helped me set the plan out. And I truly believe that if I had listened to my brother and not gone ahead and done it, obviously it wouldn't be done. But because I knew that it was true to me to achieve this mission, I was going to do whatever it took, and I literally did. And this is what I see so much in this world now, looking from the outside back in, and what I see in my life decisions as well. Every time that I was trying to chase after someone else's dream, that I was trying to chase after the dream to travel the world, which I didn't really want to do. I just thought it was a cool thing. The dream to work the FIFO industry, which I didn't really want to do, but I was just following my mom's footsteps. Every time I was chasing after someone else's dream, it wasn't working out. I would get hit by a freaking truck and got told, like, get back to start, go again. But the moment that I started fully chasing my own authentic dream that was super true to me in life, everything just started coming together. And all it was literally just one more. It was just one more step. And people say to me, was there any time that you wanted to quit? And that there wasn't. There absolutely was no time that I wanted to quit, because nothing was too hard, because I was so connected to the purpose and to the why and to the mission behind it, that was way bigger than me. And my brother said to me, when I finished the run, we went out for dinner, and he said to me, I thought you were going to quit because that's all you've done in life. Every time a hardship has come up, you've fallen off and you've gone in a different direction. And that's where I fully believe that if you chase after your own dreams, you will literally do whatever it takes. And there is nothing that is too hard. Yeah, damn, it's freaking hard to go out and run 60 Ks a day. But it was broken down so smallly, and my why was way bigger, that I was like, this is for me. This is my dream. I'm going. And the coolest thing was, I had no injuries at all on the run. I had food poisoning once because I ate pie. But other than that, my body held up so well. And that's where
I think a lot of that's going to come from the resilience you've gained, and I call resilience a little bit these days a bit of a lost art. But this is, your brother saying you've always ever quit, whereas kind of me listening to your story, I was like, well, no, you didn't. You refused to give up. You just moved on. You knew it wasn't right, and you moved on. And I think that's what people need to understand. There's a difference between failure. There's a difference between quitting. There's a difference between being able to look yourself in the mirror and go, I've given everything I've got in this moment. It's not for me, or no, actually, this just isn't for me, and I'm okay with that. And we don't have to stay in environments that don't align with us. If, like you said, you use the word your why. A lot of people know that. I always say check your PP, check your purpose, and check your passion for doing so. If you've got a purpose, a deep purpose of doing something, and a passion for it, the same as you're going to show up every day, and it's not going to be a burden on you. You may have days where you can't be bothered and you're not quite yourself, but you're still going to want to show up. And that's where a lot of people go wrong with their goals.
Yeah, and people are like, why aren't I motivated? Why aren't I inspired? I was not motivated every day. I was not inspired every day. There was days where I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Oh, yeah, that's right. Connected to the why, connected to the PP, my passion and my purpose. And that's what kept me going. And it's like, if you keep looking for the inspiration or the motivation, and that's how you do your life, you ain't going to get that far. But if you look for, I love that, your PP, and you make every day about your PP, I'm going to steal that. It's so good.
He gets a little laugh now and then.
It's so good. It's like your PP. But if you live every day like that, you will show up no matter what. Hard times are going to come, but only you get to define if it's hard or not hard. It's like, if you know your purpose, you will literally show up, rain, hail, or shine. And that's exactly what I did on that run. And when I crossed the finish line, I was like, I looked to my support crew, Rowan, and I crossed the finish line. I was like, bro, why are we stopping here? Let's keep going. But I kind of had to stop because everyone was like gathering around, cheering me on. I was like, okay, I'll stop. But that's where I was like, you know what? Like, what's just one more state? So, and that leads me into next year's endeavour, is to run around Australia, 14,000 kilometres, to raise awareness for mental health. For me, it's just one more step, breath, and day, and it will be accomplished. But it's also just one more state with having just one more conversation that could potentially save people's lives.
When you said this and you were talking, I just picture you like Forrest Gump, just running, Just, everyone's like, why are you running? I don't know. I'm just running.
Running.
That's it.
I
Just
like
running. This just one more. This has come up a couple of times in different variations, and I'm a firm believer of it, because when you say it's hard, and we talk about showing up, and we talk about just one more, like you're saying, just one more step. If you were to put one foot in front of the other, that's not hard. No matter how tired you are, you can put one foot in front of the other. And that's where it breaks down to, is that absolute simple process of just focusing on your next movement. So where have you taken that? Because obviously you now help others. You do a lot of stuff. You're not just a runner. Like I said, you do a lot of, on the mental health side and motivational speaking. How have you utilized that in what you do now?
Yeah, so I help a lot of people overcome the challenges that they're currently in, but I also help a lot of people with massive visions chunk it down so that they have like the manageable bite-sized pieces to go just one more to achieve their vision. So I'm definitely the kind of person, if you come to me with a vision, I'm like, fuck yes, let's 10x it. Let's do this. Let's do this. And then by the time you've had a conversation with me, you're so amped up about the big vision, but not only are you amped up, you're also so content on the next step that you need to do to get there. Because I do like a whole training around goals and visions and stuff, because what I believe is the whole SMART goals, that's out. I feel like that's dated, it's out. Because if someone had told me that I should run a marathon before I ran 1600 Ks, I probably wouldn't have done it, because a marathon doesn't inspire me. I'm not passionate about that. Like, that's not going to get me amped up. But if someone tells me to run 1600 Ks, then gives me the framework to break it all down, and all I've got to do is show up just one more every single day. And then it's like the building blocks. And then in like a year's time, it's completely achieved. You look back and you're like, whoa. But whereas if I just stopped at a marathon, I wouldn't be doing all of this stuff. That's what I see with my clients. If they just stop at a small local event in their city, they wouldn't be touring around Australia sharing their message.
Yeah, I'm not a SMART goal person. Very much in line with you. It's the ultimate vision and legacy. Once you know what that is, then, like you said, you break it down just one more or smaller sections. And I know the daily actions that I'm taking daily, they add up, they compound over time. Whereas I said, when we talk SMART goals, the S is specific, right? It doesn't matter. I want to lose 10 pounds in a month. So what? You can do that tomorrow. You can do it next month if you want. You can wait a year. Then you say that you put a time on it. Oh yeah, I want to you lose 10 pounds by a month. Again, so what? So what? There's nothing to it. And there has to be that deeper underlying purpose. Okay, well, what's the reason you want to drop 10 pounds? Oh, I want to feel fitter. So what's the reason you want to feel fitter? Or how will being fitter benefit your life? And you've got to dig and dig and dig, because some people like yourself, and I think myself as well, I fell on it. All my mistakes, all my efforts, I fell on my vision. Some people might have to search for it a little bit. Some people might just fall on it by just being in the process. And just one day, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, it may happen.
Yeah, and it's like we'll talk about goals and stuff. I was setting a goal of losing 10 kilos or something, and exactly what you said. So what? I say it to my clients all the time. So what? And it's the underlying of what that is going to give you that people need to connect to. Okay, 10 kilos. Cool. I can run around more after my children. I can be a better role model for my children. And what I know to be true is that if you carry that and you focus on the legacy and the impact that you want in your life, you will see that it's not actually about losing 10 kilos. It's about who you need to become in order to lose that 10 kilos, but create that impact and legacy along the way. That is way more important than the 10 kilos. Like, the 10 kilos will inevitably come off, because making those choices and those habits that you need to make will stick with you far greater than a goal of losing 10 kilos. It's like that goal's just dead. Like, focus on the impact and the legacy that you want to have. You want to be a healthy role model. You want to be a better parent. You want to show up better in your business, your life. Okay, what choice do you need to make today? And that's all it is just one more step when it's broken down like that. And that's achievable for anyone. Yeah.
Is there a common trait of somebody that comes specifically to you? Because obviously, I'm assuming when somebody has reached out to you, they've resonated with their story, they know who you are. Do you see a common trait of somebody that is asking for help?
They're so bombarded. They are so overwhelmed, overstressed, overstimulated, and so bombarded with all the resources, all the knowledge, and everything else that's out there, or how they should be doing something, that when they come to me, they're like, "Oh, is that it? Really? I don't have to do anything else." It's like, no, you've got to strip the shit back that you've been taught, you've been trying to research the more and the more and the more. You've got to strip it all back and just be like, it's simple. Once you understand that all it is connecting to the why, to your impact, to your legacy, to your passions, to your purpose. That's all it is. It's not like, yeah, they're just very overstressed, overstimulated, bombarded with the new, the new, the new. And the way that the world moves now is fast and fast and fast. And we all think that we have to have a new thing. We have to learn something new. We have to do this. And it's like, stop, just silence the world for a second, connect back to your heart, your intuition, and what's in here. And you will understand that you don't need anything else. You need to strip it back. And that's what I help my clients do.
And is there an example you could share with us on how you would strip something back? Just so it's something maybe you've used with a client recently, and how you simplified that for them.
Yeah, so I have this client who wants to do a lot in the motivational space, in the speaking space, in the mental health space, but then she was getting caught up in all these different other avenues, and she was trying to over pretty everything. I've got to have my emails done. I've got to have this slideshow perfect. I've got to have this done. Got to have that done. And then I just asked her the question. I was like, so, like, what is the purpose of this? And she was trying to overcomplicate all of her purpose to give more, 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 please, 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 more and more. And it just come down to her purpose is to make others not feel the way that she felt. And I'm like, amazing. Let's go off that. Every time you wake up in the morning, ask yourself how you can implement that in your life every single day right now. And from there, it's her presentations, her speaking, her impact that she's creating has literally just gone gangbusters because she leads with that, opposed to let's help people feel confident, let's help people instill better habits, let's help people rewrite this, or trying to go in all different directions. It's like her main thing is that she just doesn't want anyone to feel alone. And that's exactly what she's known for now. And that's what inspires her to keep showing up more and more every single day. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're looking to inspire more. Next year, 14,000 kilometers you are planning to cover. How's the preparation going for that? How is it going to look? What is this?
Let's put it into better terms. It's 14,000 kilometers, but it's 80 Ks a day for 180 days. So we're ramping the Ks up 20 Ks, and we're running around for 180 days, which is just under 6 months. So I am going to be like the Australian Forest Gump, and people are going to be like, why are you running?
Can you please one day get like the beard and the hat? Can you please do that one day for us?
Oh my God, yes, I'm absolutely going to do that. Yeah, I am.
I'm holding you to that as well now.
My little sister, she made a meme about me last year, and she literally turned me into a Forest Gump, and I didn't even think to put on the outfit, but I'm actually going to put on the outfit this time and wear it with pride.
Please. Because right now I'm sitting here and I'm like, this podcast episode is going to be called the Australian Forest Gump. That's where I'm at right now.
Run, Forest. Yeah, that's me. How's preparation going for it? Well, to be honest, it's going okay. It is way different to last time because I'm in a complete different situation and area of life now. So last time when I trained for the big feat, I was single. It was me. Nothing else matters. Like, it's just me. Now, I'm a business owner. I have like a lot more clients to help out. But not only that, I'm a partner, and my partner has 2 kids. So I'm a stepmom now as well. So my dynamics has changed drastically. which means that my training has now changed drastically. My training has become like my full-time job because I'm giving anywhere from 40 to 60 hours a week to my training. Whereas before I would do all my training like on the weekends and maybe Thursday, Fridays. Now it's like Monday to Friday my training needs to be, because on the weekends I'm stepmom. I need to be there for the kids, need to be there for my partner. And I love that. Like, it's so cool. But it has definitely been a lot more challenging entwining what I need, but also what my family needs, and knowing that it ain't just about me anymore. This is a way bigger impact. There is way more people to think about in my life. Stepchildren, my partner, and my immediate family as well, and the communities that I now have around me and my clients. So yeah, it's going. I run 5 days a week now. I'm up to 140K weeks, and I strength train 3 days a week. Yeah.
It's a lot. That is a lot. How are you going to manage? So what's going to happen with the coaching situation? Because if you're running for 6 months, you can be taking calls whilst you're running, or how's that going to work?
Well, it's quite funny, right? So whenever I run, I have my best downloads. I have my best downloads for my clients, and I voice memo them straight away. So I'm not going to stop working with my one-on-one clients, but everything else will just be put on pause. But I just trust that I can still be able to help coach my one-on-one clients when I'm out on the run, because now already, like, yeah, they have the best things come through whenever I'm running. They're like, whoa, how do you run and voice memo? And all of this knowledge just drops. And I'm like, here you go. So they're also very compassionate and very understanding about what I'm undertaking next year. I'm mindful of that as well, which is really cool. But everything else will just be on hold, and I'm stoked for that.
Nice. Brooke, if you can go back and talk to 12-year-old Brooke right now, what would you say to her?
I would say everything will be okay. You're exactly where you're meant to be. Everything's going to turn out better than ever expected.
Yeah, that's exactly my answer as well. That's what I say all the time. Like, no regrets. Things happen.
No.
We learn, we grow, and I think we need to embrace that a lot more. That's been absolutely fascinating. I think I could go on another hour, 2 hours, but I'm sure we both got busy days. Brooke, if people do want to find out about you or just kind of join in with your journey, where can they find you?
So everything's on Brooke Mcintosh Instagram, or brookemcintosh.com.au on my website, where they can see about the Just One More, the Australia run. And people can even participate in that run wherever they are as well, set their own challenge and their own fundraising goal if they want to help fundraise as well. But definitely on Instagram, YouTube, and my website.
Yeah, and it's worth a watch. I'd say your stories, you run and you talk and you drop knowledge bombs and stuff like that as well. So it is worth a check out as well. So Brooke, thank you so much for joining me today. I've really enjoyed that.
Thank you so much for having us on, Shaun. I can't wait to run around Australia in my Forest Gump outfit. That is elite.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that. We're gonna have to sort something out. Maybe I'll get a banner sent over as well or something. Give everyone a shout out.
Yeah, that'll be good.
And thank you for everybody that's joined us for this episode today. As always, the aim is just to help one person today. If that was you, brilliant. Our job here is done. If you know somebody that needed to listen to this today, please share it with them, send it direct to them. Anything you can do to help the podcast grow and get the story out there is much appreciated. And rather than my usual tagline, I am going to finish today with, just remember, there is just one more game. Have a great day, everyone. See you later.